I'm the only American left in there. All our embassy people leave the country. All Americans and other embassies, they leave.
So you abandoned your life in America, everything.
All rentals, all luxury vehicles. The woman I had been married to for 35 years got cancer, she died, she go to heaven. The sky opened up, and right before my eyes, Jesus descended from heaven and sat down next to me and put his coffee cup next to mine. And I said, I don't understand. Why do you come have coffee? And he said, in conflict in their country, they use these machetes, they cut the people's body parts off so they cannot harvest their crops. No prime minister, no parliament, no minister group, but you need good leadership. But no individual could do what has happened to this country.
Preview.
Alright, what's going on, guys? You already know this is Marking English with Abby, and today I have a guest here, and this conversation is going to serve, it has two purposes. First one is for you to practice your English and learn to listen from the natives themselves. And the other one, this guy right here, like, he came to me from Harry class.
Yes.
His name is Jerry. And when he started talking to me, I said, wait, hold on. This is so interesting, and I want to share it with my viewers. So this is me listening to the story firsthand with you guys. Like, we never talked about it before. And that's it. That's what brought me here. Stay with us, and we're going to begin. Jerry.
Yes.
Tell us about yourself, like in short.
In short, well,
Okay.
I've been in Ethiopia just under a year. I didn't even know how to spell Ethiopia a year ago. I didn't even know where Ethiopia was. I knew it was probably in Africa. I'd read the word in the Bible, but beyond that, I don't know.
Okay. Tell us about your upbringing first.
Tell us about
Your upbringing, like, you know what?
my upbringing. So, born in Southern California, on the west coast of the United States. All beach, all swimming, all surfing, all sports. Great upbringing. Decided to go to university, went to law school. Because in America, business is primarily law. Entrepreneurship you can do, but you need a framework of law to succeed long term at a high level. So law school was important for me. Not to be a lawyer, but to understand the concepts of business. So that was my upbringing. And then I traveled to South America, Central America, Asia, and got to practice the principles of business in different countries.
What was your first business?
My first business was 10 years old, and I started a window washing business. So I went around with a bucket and a pail, and I earned money by washing people's windows in their homes and in their shops.
Are your family big on religion?
My family they went to church on Sunday, but nothing on Monday. So primarily we believed in God. Our community believed in God. We practiced moral principles, but didn't have much knowledge about God, but just that he was there for us.
Where'd you get your morals?
My morals primarily from my family and from my community, because in our community you didn't steal from your neighbor, you took care of people that were hurting, and so most of that came from just life in my community.
So we could say like you just lived an average American life.
Average American guy. Middle class family. My father was a mechanic in a car dealership, so he repaired the car engine. My mother was a bookkeeper, and I just had a normal upbringing in childhood.
Did you like visiting places before?
Yeah, I was never afraid of adventure, so going places I'd never been was exciting. My first trip when I was 12 years old, my parents paid for me to fly to the middle part of the United States to spend the summer with my uncle on a farm. So for me, it was always adventure.
But it was just in America?
In America, yeah.
Is it your first time to be outside?
Now? No. From between high school and college, I traveled to Central America. I lived in the Andes of Peru and South America. I traveled, I've been in Canada. I've been almost all of Central America and South America, just either on my own or with a friend.
But like, but it's your first time to be in Africa.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even know where Africa was, really.
All right, so let's just...
No Americans know much about Africa.
Okay, let's get to the interesting part. Okay. Why Ethiopia? And like, how did you even conceive the idea of traveling to Africa, and specifically, why Ethiopia?
There was no plans to travel to Africa. I kind of semi-retired, so I was thinking of a new life, a new future, what I wanted to do. The woman I had been married to for 35 years got cancer. She died. She go to heaven. And so my 2 children are grown with their families. So I'm just a single white guy sitting in America deciding what I want to do with my life. And while I was sitting there thinking, what should I do? My thoughts went to Asia, about maybe going back and living in that part of the world because I liked it. But while I was sitting there having a cup of coffee, the sky opened up. And right before my eyes, Jesus descended from heaven and sat down next to me and put his coffee cup next to mine. And when the sky opened up a second time, he took me to Ethiopia. And he said, I want you to go to the nation of Ethiopia for me. And I said, I was kind of scared. I said, I don't even know where it is. I don't know how to spell it. Oh. And I don't know why you're here. And he said, I've asked other people to go, and they said no. Some people went, but it got very hard, and so they returned. But I'm asking you to go to the nation for me. I'll set you with the leaders of the country, and I want you to bring the wealth of the nation out of the ground and give it to the people. And I said, how would I ever do that? And he said, I want you to do it through agriculture and through mining. I said, Lord, I'm a general contractor. I build houses. I don't know how to mine. I don't know anything about agriculture. He repeated, if you'll go, I'll set you with the leaders of the nation. I'll teach you everything you need to know. I'll put you in the right places with the right people, and I will make it happen if you'll just go. I said, well, okay. Are you sure you've got the right person?
He said, yes, Jesus. Are you sure, Jesus? All right, okay.
Are you sure?
Okay.
And he said, this got a little strange for me. So he said, he looked at me and he just went, and in an instant, I leave my balcony and my home in Seattle, Washington, and I'm standing on a stage in Ethiopia. I know I'm in Ethiopia. There's 10,000 dark-skinned people in front of me. I'm a white-skinned person, very different. And I see maybe 10,000 people out in front of me, like at a football stadium. And Jesus is standing next to me. And he says, this is where I'm sending you. This is what I want you to do. And he said, now watch this. And off to the front of the stage on the right, there was a group of about 15 or 20 people. And they had been in conflict, and they had had their wrists cut off, their arms cut off, their shoulders. And he said in conflict in their country, they use these machetes, they cut the people's body parts off so they cannot harvest their crops. And then they come in during conflict, and then they take the crops that the people were going to harvest. And this is what's been going on for generations of tribal conflict. And I want you to go to the nation and end the conflict, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do it. And he said, watch very carefully. And while I'm looking at these people that have limbs missing, this white mist like a cloud, a fog comes down over the top of them. And while he says, look carefully. And so I look very carefully. And when the cloud comes back up, he grew all their arms and their body parts back. And he said, there's going to be no more of this activity in their nation. They're not going to fight. I'm going to create food security, which will create border security for their nation. And the revenge killings, the revenge maimings are ending. And I want you to go to the nation and make sure it happens.
Okay, like one thing I want to ask you, like at first when I asked you if you were a religious person, you said no, right? So, like, do you really think this message can come from God?
Well, I'm sitting in Ethiopia, talking to you. I had no plans to go to your nation. I've traveled from the north region in the Amharic region in Gondar, down to Bahadar, to Addis, where we are today in the central part, all the way south to Hawassa, to Diwa, from Ambo to Wakiti, to Debre Berhan, to Debre Marcos. I've traveled the country, and I had no plans to come here. So experience tells me it was God, because I had no plan.
So like when you first came here, I was like, oh really? Like, you know, I thought it was just absurd. And you said like you thought you were hallucinating. You weren't even sure yourself.
Yeah, I was very afraid. I was sure I was maybe hallucinating, but so I pondered it. Jesus stayed 40 minutes and taught me many things about the nation, and showed me many things that are happening. And so when he left, I asked him, why did you come have coffee? I don't understand coffee. I didn't know Jesus drank coffee. And he said, I've come to have coffee with you because when I leave, you're going to have a hard time believing everything that just happened. And I took you in the Spirit, lifted you from your home in America, took you to Ethiopia, showed you all these things in their country, returned you to your home. And when we sat there, he finished his coffee and I finished my coffee. And I said, I don't understand. Why do you come have coffee? And he said, because you're going to find out when I leave that Ethiopia is the origin of coffee. And they have a thing in their country called a coffee ceremony. I said, I thought Starbucks was the origin of coffee. We're in Seattle. To an American, Starbucks is the origin of coffee, not Ethiopia. So Jesus leaves. I run into my office. I Google origin of coffee. It's Ethiopia. And then in the search results, the next thing it says, coffee ceremony. And I shout to myself, oh my God, it was Jesus. It was God himself who come and have coffee and tell me about Ethiopia. The coffee piece made me believe, or I'm having a fabulous hallucination about coffee. And I don't drink very much coffee. But Jesus used coffee to establish a principle that he wanted me to know. He came to my house and had coffee with me. And that specifically, I'm not sent to any place else in the world, but only to Ethiopia. And I'm stunned. I'm stunned when I look at my cup, it's empty, and I Google, your nation is the origin of coffee. And you have a coffee ceremony. Jesus said, the reason I had coffee with you is because you'll find out later that in their country, in a coffee ceremony, they sit face to face and they talk. And I came and sat face to face with you and talked about their nation because this is where I'm sending you. I know. It blows my mind. I'm still scared.
Yeah, like it's too much to take in. I don't even know what to ask you next, but you know, we'll go anyways. So, do you really think it's up to you to fix everything that's going on in this country, like all the fighting, the conflict? Do you think you have a shot at it?
So here's what I am convinced of. I'm convinced that when God said, I'm going to set you with the leaders of the nation, and part of your role is to bring the wealth of the country out of the ground and give it to the people. And to do that, you must end the conflict. So I want you to begin to pray. I don't even know how you pray end conflict. He said, well, the Bible says you pray for the leaders of the nation. So I began to pray for the leaders of your country because there was a scripture for that. And then I find out that your prime minister is Oromo and the first lady is Amharic. And the Lord said to me, those oftentimes have been in conflict, the two cultural tribal groups. But their marriage represents the unity of the nation now. The two become one flesh. So the two different tribal categories, Amharic and Oromo, are married in leadership, and they begin to bring the unity to the nation. I said, wow, what a symbol of unity. And then when he talked to me about food security, that the conflict with the hands being cut off, when Ethiopia, he said Ethiopia is going to rise higher and higher, and the kings of the earth are going to come and want to know, how did Ethiopia, this impoverished, war-ridden culture of poverty and lack, how did they rise so high and become the wealthiest nation on earth? The kings of the earth are going to come and say, no man could do this. No prime minister, no parliament, no minister group. But you need good leadership. But no individual could do what has happened to this country. They're going to become so wealthy, God's going to make them the wealthiest nation on the planet, aligned with Israel. The wealthiest nation. I said, you have to have, how do I believe that? He said, because they had a queen named Sheba, who took treasures from Ethiopia to Jerusalem. She took gold and silver and precious stones and spices such as had never been seen before to Jerusalem. He said, to my temple, to Solomon. And she stayed with him and listened to his wisdom and brought it back to her people. He said now they're due a return on their investment. They have invested, their nation has from the ground pulled up their resources of gold and silver, precious stone, and agricultural spices, taken them to Jerusalem and given them to my temple, and sat and listened to my wisdom. And now, like every farmer that plants a seed, they're due a return on their investment in the temple in Jerusalem. That's why I've aligned them with Israel. And now her investment in my temple is coming back in a return to her nation. That's why I'm making them the wealthiest nation on the planet.
Cool, nice.
That's what I said, but I'm still scared.
One question. So, you see, these days, with the Western involvement and all, most people are skeptical.
Yeah, well, me too.
Yeah, they're very skeptical about your message and like if.
Yeah. So here's what I would say. Here's what I say. When I was in,
so I know what you guys are feeling the same way.
When I was in the conflict in the north, and I travel with soldiers, and I carry Kalashnikov, and I go through all this stuff.
How'd you get the permission to do all that, though?
They just handed it to me. They just. I'm the only American left in there. All our embassy people leave the country. All Americans and other embassies, they leave. I'm still here. I'm still living. I still travel. The federal soldier, all the people, they just accept me. I don't know why. God just give me a favor with them. They put me in their vehicles. They put me in the airplanes. I just go. I have no purpose except God say go, and He give me the favor with them. I have pictures of me with your special forces, the guys with the red hats, traveling on domestic flights with the head of intelligence. I don't know. God did it all. But here's what I would say, because sometimes people would say to me, "Why we're friends with America? Why do you hate us now? Why don't you like us anymore?" I say politicians and population are not the same. Politicians change ideas and ideology at times, but the citizens, we don't change. We love our neighbors in Canada. We love our neighbors in Mexico. We love our neighbors in Ethiopia, though I don't know Ethiopia. So I say Americans don't change. But politicians change sometimes. So I don't know why policies change. But I know for myself, God say, I call my whole family together before I come. And I say, listen, I say, Dad might be losing his mind. So I've got about 15, 20, 30 family members in my home. And I say, listen, I've waited months to say this, but 2 months ago, Jesus come to the house, have coffee, tell me all these things. And He say you're going to go to the nation of Ethiopia. All you have to do is sell everything you have, give it all away, and come follow me.
And you did?
Yes. Yeah.
So you abandoned your life in America, everything.
Everything. All rentals, all luxury vehicles, all bank accounts, everything. Give it all away and come follow me. And so my family had seen this going on. But before I say, here's what happened. I tell them the story. And I say, one of two things is going to happen. Either I'm losing my mind, or I'll be in Ethiopia and we'll all know God came to my house and set this whole thing up. It's one or the other. There's no in between. Either I've had a breakdown or Jesus really came and said, go. And so they all agreed. If you go, we'll know it's a miracle. Because they know I don't ever have an idea. I never use the word Africa or Ethiopia in any of my conversations. I can't even spell it. I have no desire. Nobody ever in my country very often go to Africa. We go to other places that are beautiful. I have no desire. So if I'm there, it's a miracle. That's all I can say. So I give everything away. Not too long later, Jesus come to my house at 1:30 in the morning. Wake me up on my bed. He goes like this, on my chest, stands by my bed. He says, get up. I said, what? He says, I want you to Google Gondar, Gondar resorts. Because I said to him, I study. I say, Ethiopia is a big nation. Where do I go? It's a big place. So I don't get an answer. But he comes to my bedroom, wakes me up, tells me Google Gondar resorts. So I get up and I search. I find Gondar Hills Resorts. He said, book it. Book that resort. I said, but I don't have any money. He said, I didn't say pay for it. He said, book it. So I book it. Then I tell the Lord, when I traveled internationally for business, I would get an airplane ticket. He says, book it now. You know where you're going? Order a plane ticket. I said, but I don't have any money to pay for it. He said, I didn't say pay for it. I said, book it. So I'm learning to listen specifically. book the flight. So I search, I find how you get from Seattle to Chicago, from Chicago to Addis, from Addis to Gondar, and I book the flight and I put it in a shopping cart because I have no money. The next day, a lady from China walks up and says, God told me to buy you a round-trip airplane ticket.
Come on. Oh my goodness.
I said, that's amazing. So I said, I have it in a shopping cart.
Like, you don't even know the woman before. Like, it's
I'd seen her.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd seen her 3 or 4 times. And so she knows me by name. I don't know her name because she's Chinese.
So she just came to you and just said, God told me to buy you an air ticket, like point blank.
Point blank.
Wow.
And she booked it. So I sent it from my phone to her phone. She pays for it with a credit card, sends it back to my phone. Now I have a round-trip ticket. But then I say, Lord, I have no money. I have a ticket, but I have no money to Ethiopia. Nothing. And normally, like in my life before Christ, my credit cards, I could have 50,000, 100,000. There's no limit to what I can do because I have the ability to do that. But now I give it all away. So I say, Lord, I have no money. I have a ticket, but I have no money. Next day, a man walks up to me like this, and he goes his hands like this, and he says, God told me to give you these 2 1-ounce gold coins. This hand and this hand. He hands them to me like this. They're gold coins. He said, God told me to give you these to go to Ethiopia. I'm like, really? Wow. Well, thank you. I don't know what to say. I'm stunned. So I run home with these gold coins. I tell my daughter who she's studying for her master's, I say, Amanda, look, this man gave me these 2 gold coins to go to Ethiopia. She's watched the miracle happen as things have happened. And she said, Dad, you cannot sell those. I say, I have to sell them to get the money because I have no money. Used to have lots. And she said, no, don't sell them. I will buy them for you. I'll take money from my savings account, put the money in your checking account, but we need to keep these. I say, why? She said, because God said to you, you're going to do agriculture and mining. These gold coins must have some representation about the gold of their nation. I say, you're probably right. See, I don't know everything. I'm just a normal guy like you. I build houses. So God said, here's the gold coins. My daughter said, keep them. We still have them. So now I have some money in my bank account to go to Gondar Hills Resort. And that's how it all started. It's called the Ethiopian Miracle. And I have a website, ethiopianmiracle.com. I don't know what to do.
You guys can go there and check it out. But what do you have there?
Not much, just because I'm not jerrycrawford.com has more stuff about Gondar and how God told me about agriculture and mining well. So, but it's not to promote anything. I just tried to have a placeholder for something of the future because I don't know what's going to happen. So now I have plane ticket. Now I have some money, eventually. And so I get a visa. I fly from Seattle to Chicago. I get to Chicago. Ethiopia Airlines people say you can't go to Ethiopia. All visas are canceled. I said, what? I am supposed to go. She said, I'm sorry, Mr. Crawford, you cannot go. You have to get a visa. So I call my daughter in Seattle. I say, they canceled my visa. I don't know what's happening. She searches, says, well, they've canceled all visas. Conflict, war, Americans not welcome to Ethiopia. So I say, what do I do? She said, well, maybe go to the Ethiopian embassy in Washington, D.C. So I fly from Chicago to Washington, D.C. I arrive. There's hundreds of people trying to get visas. We don't know what to do. The end of the day, everybody's got a visa but me. The director of the embassy comes out, says, Mr. Crawford, I'm sorry, we're out of visas. We have no more. I said, okay. He said, but if you'll wait, I'm going to see if I can borrow one from New York. And I wait. He comes out an hour later. He says, Mr. Crawford, we have no more visas for tourists, but we found an unlimited 2-year multi-entry visa. We put it in your passport. Welcome to Ethiopia. You can travel there anytime you want, for as much as you want for the next 2 years. I said, that's a miracle. He said, I don't know why they give it to you, but you got it.
Cool, nice. So what have you done so far?
Let's see. I climb on the airplane in Chicago. The man sitting next to me, he said, why do you go to Ethiopia? It's a fair question. Because I had asked God, what am I supposed to tell people? So He said, just ask them one question. Ask them if they believe in God.
Okay.
So I asked the man, I said, do you believe in God? He said, yeah, I do. So I tell him the story, kind of like I'm telling you. He said, it sounded like God put you on the airplane next to me for a reason. I said, why is that? He said, because my family's from Gondar, and you're going to Gondar. I said, yes. He said, Jesus come to your house and say, go to Gondar. Well, that's where our family's from. Then he said, Jesus tell you you're going to help the nation with agriculture. I said, yes, he did, sir. He said, our family's one of the largest agricultural producers in the nation. We have 2,000 hectare in Benchengel. We've got a couple thousand hectare in Metama. We've got a couple thousand, 3,000 more hectare in Afar. All agriculture. And we have coffee farms in the south. Hawassa and Dila, that Gurgur Chifi area somewhere. So he says, I'm now your benefactor. Everything you need in the nation, I take care of. I fly you wherever you need to go. I put you with security wherever you need to be. I'll put you up in hotels everywhere you need to go.
Is that an American guy or Ethiopian?
Ethiopian guy.
Okay.
Yeah. His name Hatamnu. So Hatamnu say, okay, we get off the airplane in Addis. You say, you need anything customs? Just here's my Ethiopian number and here's my American number. I take care of everything. Just go. I go, okay.
All right. So how long do you plan to stay here?
Forever. Yeah. Because one of the things that Jesus said, he said, I want you to go to Ethiopia, and I want you to be there for 50 years. I said, Lord, I don't like old people. I said, I don't like old people. He said, you don't understand old. I'm going to add 50 years to your life. And just like Moses is at 120 years of age, he climbed mountains. His eyes were not dim. His natural force was not abated. There was no loss of strength. And just like Caleb and Joshua entered the promised land, Caleb says to Joshua, I'm as strong today as I was 45 years ago. God said, I'm going to restore your strength, restore your youth. You'll spend the next 50 years climbing the mountains, going anywhere you want in Ethiopia. You'll never be tired, and you'll never grow old. In this form of strength and capabilities. So I said, wow, that's amazing. So, 50 years. And he said, if you want to stay longer, you can ask for another 20. It's up to you.
Wow. Okay. I don't know how you guys feel about this because this is such.
So
it's
weird.
not like an everyday conversation.
No.
All right. So on light heart, like on the fun part.
Fun part.
Yeah. Let's talk about your hair. You talked about my tattoo and you said you got a story to tell about your hair.
Yeah. So I don't know why the hair. Remember, I have nothing. And yet I have more than I ever had before. So it happens that the coffee business people, they want to export to Korea, South Korea. So I know this lady in America who's Korean. She said, hey, Jerry, why don't we go to South Korea together? I said, okay. So she flies to Addis. We spend a few days and we fly to South Korea. We take the stuff to help grow coffee export. While I'm in South Korea, in the men's spa, the Korean men, they sauna, they steam, and then they color their hair black. But my hair's all white. So they say, Jerry, why don't you do some of your hair? I said, no, I don't think so. They go, no, let's just do like the top of it or something. Because you're like a crouching tiger, they say. You're full of energy. So we're going to make you like crouching tiger hairdo. I say, okay. So they just put some black paint in the center of my hair. It was fun. Just a fun thing to do. So then I get back to Ethiopia. It starts growing different, So I go to the barbershop to get it cut. And the guy say, we can do something with this. So he make me from crouching tiger to zebra. So now I'm zebra in Ethiopia. So some of my Facebook friends in America say, what's with the hair thing? I say, I don't know. It just happened, It's going to grow and go. I don't care.
Okay. Nice. Well, it's been fun talking to you.
Thank you.
There definitely will be part two, especially after, like, in a couple of months, hopefully.
Yes.
I'm thinking that you'll be back. Like, you're living in, how long? In about a month, right?
Yeah, I'm here I've been here since January or something.
So how long are you going to be there before
1 month.
you come back? A month. Yeah. So we're going to talk about some of your accomplishments and how you've done so far.
Good.
Do you want to say anything for the people like this? if you could tell a message for all Ethiopian people, like, you know, like it could be an advice or something to change what's going on currently, what would you tell the whole nation?
The past does not equal the future. What you have in front of you is hope, opportunity. It needs your ambition. It needs you to change your mind. Like in a school like this, you change your thinking. It opens up new opportunities because you think differently. So I would encourage you to let go of the past, keep the beautiful parts of your culture, let go of the things that have held you back, and reach forward to the things that are before you, and believe that you can change your own life. You cannot look to the politicians to do it. You cannot look to the bankers to do it. You must look within yourself. In America, we do not copy, we innovate. We look at something that's good and we think about how to make it better. So I would encourage everybody in this nation to look at something that's going on and think of a way to make it better. When you do, you become an innovator, and we become an innovation nation, and everybody rises higher and higher through innovation in this nation.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So that was it with Jerry, guys. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, and I know it's going to be flooded with comments. Let me know what you think, and like if you want me to ask him like something else, like you can leave it down in the comments, and I'll make sure to do that. It's Marky English with Abby with a different content again. Till I see you next time, take care of yourself.